Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Fikri Amiruddin. I'm from Sabah 13. So today I'm gonna talk about mechanical basis of human motion. Okay, what in this chapter, what we gonna do is we gonna identify and differentiate between Newton's law of motion and mechanical behavior of bodies in contact. So there are four types of Newton law. The first one is law of inertia, law of acceleration, law of reaction, and then law of gravitation. So we take a look at the first law, which is law of inertia. First law of inertia is known as first law of motion. So basically, it's a body. A body will maintain a state of rest or constant velocity unless act on by external force that change the state. So what I mean by the definition is the object will remain in the same position if there is no external force. For example, a skater gliding on ice will continue gliding with the same speed and at the same direction. So by right, the bearing action of an external force. So for the second Newton's law, which is law of acceleration, so it's force applied to the body causes an acceleration of the body. So in the direction of the force and inversely proportional to the body mass. So what I can say that if the bigger the force, the bigger the acceleration. And then the smaller the force, the smaller the acceleration. One more thing I want to add is to cause an object to move, to change velocity, we need to apply a force. Newton's law of motion, which is law of reaction. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So I give you, for example, jumping. From the ground force, we call it as action, and then transfer into moving upward, we call it as reaction. So next thing that I'm gonna talk about is mechanical behavior of body's contacts. We have four types of them. The first one is friction, second one is momentum, and then impulse and impact. So let's go to the first friction. So friction is force acting over the action. Basically, it's the contact between two surface in the direction of opposite. Which means I can show you like this. Okay, if you want to have a friction, both of your hand have to move like opposite side, like this. And then if you feel it warm, for example, if you want to move an object, you have to have a greater force. Then because if you have a greater force, the friction will be more greater. Second one is momentum. So generally, as the momentum, we can generally define the quantity of motion that an object possess. So the second one is linear momentum, the quantity of motion measured as the product of body mass and its velocity. So basically, if object is zero velocity, so there is no momentum. Because in able to produce momentum, we have to get the velocity first. So basically, it is an external force do act. They change the momentum present in a system predictably. So like basically impulse, like people like a bit confused about impulse. So basically it changes in momentum also depends on the length of the time over which each force act. So impulse mean product of a force and the time interval over which force act. So impulse basically is equal to force and time. But there also impulse can be sometimes impulse can be what we call impulse can be force and time. In baseball, when you hit the bat when you hit the ball with the bat, okay, basically it is force and time. But long ball we will use as force, but smaller force, but bigger in time, bigger in duration. Last point, which is impact. Impacts I can define is like collision characterized by the exchange of a large force during a small time interval. So basically there is a perfectly elastic impact during which is the velocity of the system is conserved. Okay, zero velocity. As for example, like tennis ball, when you bouncing it, and then in a short period of time the ball will start bouncing. And also clay.